If you've got your bulletin paper handy and you see the message there, ignore everything you see. Changed that all on Friday. Felt we were supposed to go a different way, so... but if you want to save that for next week, that will be for next week. But we're going to be in Jacob's story, but we're going to do something different today. So this is Jacob's prayer in 32 as he's getting ready to meet Esau. Jacob prayed, "O God of my grandfather Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, you told me, return to your own land and to your relatives, and you promised me I will treat you kindly." Am I doing it or you? You're fine. "I am not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you've shown to me, your servant. When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Now my household fills 2 large camps. O Lord, please rescue me from the hand of my brother Esau. I'm afraid that he is coming to attack me along with my wives and children. But you promised me, I will surely treat you kindly, and I will multiply your descendants until they become as numerous as the sands along the seashore, too many to count." All right, so we are continuing in the life of Jacob. Got a couple weeks left. We added one in just because it's fun. I hope, like, I don't know what you've known about the life of Jacob. I know many of you have read it in the Old Testament, but as we've, like, settled into it, I hope you're like, this is good, this is interesting, this is real, like, wow, this could be me. That's a hard one to say, right? When we talk about what a schemer he is, and we're like, sometimes, maybe. So we've been in Jacob's story all summer, and I hope it's been good for you. I hope you've found, like, this is relevant for us today. So last week, we left off with Jacob, after 20 years, finally getting away from Uncle Laban. For the last 20 years, he had been living in Laban's world, living by Laban's self-serving rules. And so Laban basically ensured that no matter what, he wins. And so that was a challenge for, you can imagine, Jacob, as he's living in that world. And Laban has all of the advantages. It's his home, it's his family, it's his rules, it's his world. And so they would make agreements, if you remember at the end, with the sheep, and they're kind of he's gonna earn his flock, and he just keeps changing the agreement to work in his favor. So it started with, you take the not solids, I'll take the solids, but that was working in Jacob's favor. So then he keeps changing the agreement, and no matter what, Jacob seems to come out ahead. But it was exhausting and frustrating for Jacob to be doing this kind of life with Laban, and also eye-opening. Here's one of the things we highlighted. Like, this is how Jacob operated, right? But now he's on the other side of that, and like, I don't like that. And it is funny, both of them, right? Laban and Jacob, as the schemers, both when they get schemed, kind of feel outraged. Like, what? Who does this? Right? And yet they're both the schemers. And so Jacob here's how we described it last week. He had a catfish that just chased him around. Kept him alive, kept him fresh, kept him moving, kept him growing. He was a man who would add character to Jacob's life, not through kind words of encouragement, but by being his tormentor. I would rather have kind words of encouragement, thank you, right? But it is funny how we tend to really grow through those more uncomfortable places. And so he is finally ready to put that part of his life behind him, like, so done with Laban. Let's move on. So he's heading home. He parts ways with Laban. If you remember last week, that could have gone better. Like that kind of got rough, and mostly because he didn't tell Laban he was leaving, and he just snuck off with his daughters and his grandkids and all the flocks that Laban wanted to dispute. And so he heads off, and then there's a chase, and there's an awkward confrontation, and a weird camp out, and then some accusations that fly both ways. And eventually, if you remember, they set up they called it a witness heap. It's basically, hey, we're making an agreement here. And so they gathered stones, and this would be a visual reminder, like anybody who came to this place. So if they came from Haran to where Jacob's going to be, or from where Jacob's home is to Haran, like if you cross that, when you see that pile of stones, here's what you remember. We made an agreement that we will not harm each other. It's kind of a treaty, and the whole thing of a treaty, right, is I don't necessarily trust you. You don't necessarily trust me. So this pile of stones is going to be the I don't trust you stones. And we're going to agree together that because of we're both going to see this pile of stones. In this case, you can trust me, right? So it's this treaty, this agreement. So they make their promises. They say their goodbyes. And back way up into Jacob's story, because he's getting ready to head home. But if you recall, when he left, after he blew up his family, when he left, God promised him then that you are going to return home someday. So that was a promise made a long time ago. Now, as he is finally saying goodbye to Laban, leaves the pile of I don't trust you stones, and faces home. Like, these are his first steps into that promise made so many years ago. So think about how surreal would this have to be for Jacob? This is again the way I think. Like, did Jacob have any concept, and probably didn't, of how long he might be gone? Like, he ran for his life. His brother wants to kill him, so I'm probably better not being home right now. And so he runs for his life. He goes to his uncle's, and how long does it take for that to blow over? I mean, you got to figure you're going to be there a while, probably not months, probably years. But would he ever have imagined in his wildest dreams that he would be 20 years away from home? Like, think of how much changes in your life in 20 years. Look back 20 years. How different was your life? Think of the people that were in your life. Think of some of the places that were the regular places that now seem like faded memories. Like, oh yeah, that. My family, we've moved a couple of times in 20 years. So, I'm going to try to get rid of that. So we've moved a couple of times in 20 years. So for us, like, there's a lot that feels like it has changed in 20 years. When 20 years ago, I was pastoring a little church in Shelby, Ohio. We had 3 kids under the age of 5. We didn't have the 4th one yet. And, like, that's a whole different world. Like, when you go back 20 years, and of course now we've added our 4th one little time ago. He's graduating. He's heading off to college. We're about to be empty nesters. And so, like, think of what changes in 20 years. And here's what I want us to grasp. As he's heading home, like, so much has changed for everybody that he's not been a part of. Like, that life from 20 years ago for him, like, has to seem like a distant life. That's my family, but I haven't seen him in 20 years. So he's heading out of Laban's world to see finally get reunited with his family. And while it feels good to be done with Laban, there's something looming up ahead. Because he didn't leave on great terms, right? It was kind of ugly the way that all happened, the way he cheated his brother, humiliated his father. And keep in mind, it was 20 years, but there's nothing been said, nothing spoken, no restitution made, no apologies, no repentance. Like, there's been no communication after that thing blew up 20 years ago. You can imagine why Jacob might have some apprehension. We would, wouldn't we? And so he's got, as he heads home, some fears and a lot of questions. Do you know what it's like to have fear and questions? We've all been there. And here's the thing for Jacob, and we've been there. He has no idea how this is going to go. Like, he's going to encounter his brother, and it could go great. It could be a warm welcome, like, I've missed you. Oh, that old thing? No big deal. Or it could be like, oh, I've been waiting for this. I made a promise, and I'm going to keep it. I said I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to do it. Right? So he has no idea. And you know when he's going to find out how it goes? When he finally meets his brother. So I want us to feel what he is stepping into. So we described the catfish like it felt like he escaped the catfish, but perhaps it seems like he's swimming toward a shark. Like, just left one challenge to swim into another. So he's got unfinished business. And he's got questions. And he's got fears. He's got some junk from the past that has to be faced. Have you ever had to face some of your junk? I hate that. Right? Like, it is not a fun thing to have to face some of that junk. This is what Jacob's going to have to do. Like, he was in a safe place away from the junk for a couple of decades, but now he's coming back, and the only path forward is to face the stuff. So you know how they talk about the light at the end of the tunnel? His light is a freight train coming at him. Right? Like, I got to face this. So, back up again, because I want you to see how this whole story fits together. So, I want you to recall, after he left home and he was on the edge of Haran, right? He's getting ready to enter into his uncle's land. He's at the just like now, he's entering into a place where he's got a whole bunch of questions and some fears of the unknown. And so he's on the edge of Haran, entering into this new phase of life, whatever it's going to look like. And do you remember there was that stairway to heaven with the angels ascending and descending? And it was this visible representation that God would be with him. So where you're camped out tonight, see those angels coming and going? I'm there. I'm with you. Now, he's on the edge of his homeland, and like, he can look back and be like, God has been so faithful in so many ways. Like, it's so obvious to see. But watch this. As he's getting ready to head home, Jacob started on his way again, and angels of God came to meet him. Do you remember this part? Like, wait a minute, I remember the stairway to heaven, but I don't remember that. And when Jacob saw them, here's what he said, oh, this is God's camp. So how cool is this? Like, bookends. When he had to leave and enter that unknown place, God gives him angels and a message that says, I'm there. I'm with you. And now, as he faces new questions and the new unknown, here they are again. I'm with you. You are not alone. How powerful is that? Don't you wish in your big transitions, like, yes, just a little surrounding of angels that I can see, and I think I could be better in moving forward. Like this visible reassurance that we would love to have. Like, can you imagine? You lost your job, and then there's angels that show up. Okay, I think it'll be all right. Or you lose a loved one, but then angels show up. Or your marriage is in tatters, but then angels show up. Or you've got a cancer diagnosis, but angels show up. Like, that's kind of a big one, right? Like, yes, please, I'll take that for navigating whatever's coming in front of me. That would help ease some anxiety, override some fear, push us toward faith, wouldn't it? But here's the truthful answer. It would help, but it wouldn't guarantee it. And we're going to see that for Jacob. That's big, but that is not going to seal the deal for him. Fear and anxiety. Have you noticed this? Fear and anxiety can be very loud and very persistent, can't they? And for some reason, our voice of faith can feel less persistent, less loud. So we're going to get to watch Jacob as he wrestles this tension between faith and fear. He's holding this tension. Or maybe we would describe it this way. Sometimes we're not holding the tension of faith and fear. We're swinging wildly back and forth from one to the other, right? Like, that sounds like a prettier picture of just like I'm holding some tension, but no, like I swing one way and then back the other. You been there? I have. So what is Jacob going to do? Verse 3 says this, Then Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the region of Seir in the land of Eden. Time out right here. Nothing to see in this verse, but there is. So we learn that Esau is living in the region of Seir in the land of Eden, which isn't going to mean anything to you unless you look at a map of that region, and then you're going to say, wait a second, how did Jacob know that? Because that is 100 miles south of his home. In other words, Esau isn't living exactly at home. He lives 100 miles south of home. So how did Jacob find messengers to get to Esau who isn't even at home? Now, your Bible doesn't tell you this, so the answer is, I don't know. But we can take a couple of educated guesses. So he was in Haran, which that's family, right? His mom, Rebecca, is the brother of sneaky Uncle Laban. And so possibly word gets back to family about where he is. He did have those angels. Maybe one of the angels clued him in. There's another possibility that some commentators point to. The other possibility is that Esau was well known and had a pretty big reputation all around. That he was someone of wealth and power, and people knew who Esau was. Which in that case would mean that Jacob is finding out about Esau because his reputation precedes him. And, as we'll see, he did pretty well for himself. He would be a man of wealth and power. So how does that affect everything? Well, here's what that would mean for Jacob. here's a man who can do some things to me, and I probably don't have an answer. Which only adds to the fear and the layers of anxiety. So here's what Jacob did. He sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, and he told them, here's the message I want you to give my master Esau. Humble greetings from your servant Jacob. Until now I've been living with Uncle Laban, and now I own cattle, donkeys, flocks of sheep and goats, and many servants, both men and women. I've sent these messengers to inform my lord of my coming, hoping that you will be friendly to me. So Jacob is wisely taking a humble posture. Well done. Like, probably wasn't going to go well if you came in, hey, if you remember the blessing, I'm at the top and you're at the bottom, so I'm just telling you I'm coming home and you should take the next rung down. Like, yeah, that's probably not the way to play that. So here's the thing, and here's what we knew from Jacob early on. Like, all he cared about was himself. He didn't mind disrespecting other people, including his family. He didn't mind doing whatever he had to do to gain advantages. And what we saw was he was content to be a wrecking ball in your life, if that worked to his advantage. And so he's got no issue, right? Cheating, lying, deceiving, stole his brother's inheritance, like literally snuck in, dressed up, played the game, got his father's blessing that he thought he was giving to Esau. Like, it's this whole thing. But as he's heading back, here's what he's signaling right off the bat, like, I am not the same man. And he uses some interesting words, right? Humble greetings, your servant, my Lord. It's a wise move, right? Signaling that the man you thought you knew, that's not who I am anymore. So the message gets delivered, and after delivering the message, the messengers returned to Jacob and reported, so we met your brother Esau. He's really excited to meet you, and he's on his way with 400 men. A small army. He's really excited. And Jacob, understandably, was terrified at the news. Like, this is the worst case scenario. Like, if you had a nightmare of how this could play out, yes, just like that would be the nightmare. And so, while it was a shrewd move to kind of try to soften him up, he's coming, and he's coming in hot. And so Jacob comes up with a quick and dirty plan to address this. We read that he divided his household along with the flocks and herds and camels, and he separates them into two groups, two camps. And here's his thinking. If Esau meets one group and attacks them, well, maybe the other group will get away. So it's a kind of a shrewd move. All right, well played. Except Esau's coming with 400 fighting men, and you have women and children and animals, and the likelihood of both groups surviving if he's attacking are pretty slim. And so it's a better than nothing plan, but just barely. And then Jacob prays. I'd like to think he prayed before this. We're not told if he has. But man, if you hadn't been praying about this one, coming home, like if there's anything that could drive you to prayer, this should be it. And just this reminder, like maybe this isn't the first time he's prayed about it, but isn't it weird how we play all of our angles, and then when we're out of angles, we're like, you know what I should do? I should pray. But if I have angles to play, prayer can wait. And so I don't know for sure. Honestly, I would like to think Jacob was praying. I don't know how you couldn't be stepping into this scenario. But he finally prays. And so here's the picture, the summary of where we are so far. I want you to see that two really big and opposite things have happened to this point. Two significant opposite things. So here's the first one. The angels were camped with him. So this tangible reminder that God is with him and will make good on his promise. So excellent reason for faith, isn't it? On the other side, in the opposite direction, Esau is on his way with 400 men, which seems to indicate you're doomed. So, reason for fear. Now, listen again to Jacob's prayer, because his prayer comes right after this, where he's got these two big things, the angels who are with him and Esau on his way. Lord, you told me. I am doing what you told me to do. You told me to return to my own land, to my relatives, and you promised me you will treat me kindly. So you told me to go back, but I'm just going to say it, not looking good. And you promised you would treat me kindly, and I'm not even sure what kindness looks like when my brother is bearing down on me with 400 people, but it's confusing right now. And then in his prayer comes this honest recognition. Like, man, I don't deserve it. But as I look back, I see you have blessed me. Like, I'm not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you've shown to me, your servant. When I left home and I crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. And I just divided everything into 2 large camps. Like, you have blessed me. You've been so good to me. I have every reason to have absolute confidence in you. But then there's Esau bearing down on me with 400 men. And that doesn't look good. And so there's this tension, or the wild swing, however you want to look at it. But here's his ultimate prayer. Lord, please rescue me. Please help. Remember your promise. Like, you told me, you gave me the promise. And I don't even know how that promise survives, what's about to come down. But remember your promise and rescue me. So here's the next thing he does after he prays. He begins sending animals over one group at a time. So gifts, a peace offering. Another way to look at it is some restitution. Remember when I stole your blessing and everything that was supposed to be yours? I'm just going to send some of that back for restitution. And so he's taking a humble posture. He's being very generous. He's trying to soften him up with gifts. If you just do the quick math, he sends over 500 animals over and sends them in groups, like each in its own group. So he's sending them in waves, and each wave has a servant who says, hey, this is a gift from Jacob, and he's behind us. And each wave says this, each gift. Again, hoping to gain Esau's favor. But think about this. If that doesn't work, here's another thing he just accomplished. He just slowed 400 men down, didn't he? Like, if you're coming to take advantage, you've got to deal with each wave. And like, okay, somebody round up the goats. Like, okay, so you 10 men, you take care of the goats. We're going to keep going. And okay, who wants to take care of the donkeys? Like they're bearing down, but he's like, I can slow you down. And so there's strategy in 2 ways here. One, like, I'm trying to earn your favor, but if I don't do that, I'm at least going to slow you down. Now watch his next move. During the night, Jacob got up, took his 2 wives, his 2 servant wives, and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River with them. And after taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions, and then Jacob was alone at camp. You know where the camp was? On the other side of the river. And so now it's just Jacob. So if you look at this, everyone and everything he owns is in harm's way, except Jacob. Like, you got to get through everything to get to me. Even his wives and his children are sent ahead. And even if it's not intentional to use them all as the shield, he has placed himself at the very back, and you've got to come through everything to get to him. So all of the waves of kindness, it's a buffer in front of him. Now it's just Jacob. And he's alone. God has been good. He's been faithful. He's not the same man he was years ago. He's learned some things about life and faith. He's had some experiences that have shaped and refined him through Laban. He's learned some important things about himself and God. Like, he's not the same person, but he's waffling right now, isn't he? In this place of faith and fear. And he still seems to have this instinct of trying to do whatever he needs to do to come out ahead. Now, we all know something about this. We may not be quite as shrewd, may not be quite as ruthless, but we all know what it's like to play the angles, to try to work things, to bend them to work for us. This is what Jacob's doing. He doesn't really have options, but he's doing his best to find something. And so he's on the border of his homeland. It's really close now. It's really real. And it's really scary. Like, tomorrow or tonight, he is going to face his brother Esau. And all he knows is, and 400 friends who like to fight. And so it's like this quiet before the chaos that he knows is coming. And here he sits with this intense struggle between faith and fear. Fear because he knows things could get out of control quickly. Faith because God has a promise to be with them, and he had that angelic presence, and he's seen God's blessing. And if he can just take God at his word, he can stand in faith and believe it's all going to be okay. But it's just not easy when Esau is bearing down. Like, why does he need to come with 400 men? I don't think they're coming for a party, maybe, but I doubt it. Here's the thing on Esau's side when you think about it. Like, all you know about Jacob is don't trust anything he says. Don't trust any gifts he sends ahead. Like, the man plays games. So for Esau, like, this is a pretty natural response. Like, I don't care how many gifts he sends out in front of him. I don't trust him yet. And so it's a reasonable, like, part of us is saying, like, even if he's not meaning to rout him, like, here's what you understand, like, don't take anything he says as straight. So it makes sense for him to show up like this. Don't trust the deceiver. And so now Jacob is in this camp, and the fear voice is loud, and the faith voice is trying to find traction. And 400 men are coming, and he's alone, wrestling with faith and fear. But he would not spend that night alone, would he? Which brings us to the next part of Jacob's story, to be continued next week, but the most famous part of the story, because his wrestling is about to take a turn from what was inner turmoil to outward real wrestling. It's about to turn into something more than a battle with thoughts and feelings. It's going to take a tangible, visible presence in the outside world. But that we're going to talk about next week. Here's where I want us to end as we get ready to come to the communion table. I just want us to end with Jacob alone at Camp Fear. Or if you're uncomfortable, like, I don't know, fear's a thing in my life. Okay, let's call it Camp Anxiety. Call it Camp Uncomfortable. Call it Camp Uncertainty. Call it whatever you want to call it. Call it Wrestling Camp, if that works for you. But like we know, we don't live in Jacob's story, we live in ours. But we do know what it's like to wrestle with faith and fear, don't we? Or faith and anxiety. I wonder, is there an area of anxiety in your life right now? Or maybe you just call it fear. Oh yeah, it's fear. A place of uncertainty or a place inside where there's a lack of peace, an inner turmoil. A place of wrestling where you're not quite sure how this goes. We described it this way for Jacob. He's got questions and fears. Do you have any places right now where you have questions and fears? Like, think about when those present themselves to us. If you lose a job, then what? Like, what am I going to do? If your marriage is struggling, like, I mean, that's going to change everything. A cancer diagnosis. Okay, now what? How about just some poor decisions that you've made in any category? And you're like, yeah, I don't know how that one plays out right now. That's to be determined. Or how about maybe an area in your life where you're asking, will I ever find freedom from fill in the blank? For some, it is fear. Like you live in fear, or anxiety, or discouragement, or depression, or anger. Like, will I ever be free of blank? And so there's your questions. There's your concerns. Like, I don't know how this plays out. These are the things that we carry that add weight to our lives, that can feel unrelenting. Like sometimes those 400 men bearing down and saying, I don't know how this plays out. So here's what I want to invite you to do. We're going to get ready to come to the communion table.